On the windswept seafront of Weston-super-Mare, a convoy of tractors rolled in. Not for the market, not for show, but in protest. British farmers, many of them multi-generational custodians of the land, are in uproar over a government proposal that could change the face of rural life forever. A 20% inheritance tax on agricultural estates worth over £1 million set to take effect from April 2026. The measure, introduced in Chancellor Rachel Reeves's first budget, has ignited outrage across the countryside. Farmers say it will force land sales, jeopardise food security and shatter family farms. Among the protesters was Charlie Walford, a third-generation farmer from Langport.
We've been farming in the southwest in Langport since 1949. I'm a third-generation farmer trying to make some money out of this business that the government are determined to drive into the ground. So Rachel from accounts is going to give me a bill of roughly 700k. 700k. I've got 10 years to pay that off. The taxable profit on the farm last year was just over 12 grand. That's on almost 400 acres. Where am I going to find 70 grand a year from for 10 years when I'm only making £1,200 for working 365? It's not possible. So what have I got to do? I've got to sell land. Who's going to buy the land? It sure as heck ain't going to be other farmers. It ain't going to be these chaps here because they're going to be in the same situation as me. So who's going to buy it? Realistically, it's going to be corporates or housing associations or whoever it might be, or Angela trying to get her monopoly set grabbing land. They're the only people. They're not going to want to see a 5% return on their assets like farmers do, because that's not profitable. So what will they do? They build houses, solar farms, put it all into net zero. Whichever way it goes, the countryside will not look as it does now. It's not going to be that lovely patchwork of fields that bloody Dame Vera Lynn's been singing around for 60 years, that you look out of when you go on holiday, that you take for granted every time you open the fridge door 3 times a day and pick your food up. It'll all go. Simple as that. Like I said, the NFU reckon 50% of farms will go in the next 10 years. Think about that.
This isn't just about economic concern. For many, it's personal, about legacy, stewardship and survival. Martin Ganfield, another Somerset farmer, spoke with similar fire in his voice.
We're being pushed into a corner. We're being hammered left and right at the moment. No matter what we do, all we want to do really is feed this general public. The government is squeezing us, making it harder for us to do. There's a lot of threats at the moment. Land grabs is going to be a very big thing. You know, they'll be given the powers to just take land away from us. We're basically being asked to produce more food with less land. But it's not just us. This is a national Say No to Labour Day. This is happening in counties all the way through England. This is basically for anybody that has had enough. I mean, you've got the pensioners that are being squeezed, the poor disabled people that are being hit now as well. You've got everything, the general public, you've got your veterans, you name it, they seem to be being hurt. Those that have always provided are the ones that are being damaged. I got a son who's 15. He wants nothing more but to take the farm over. He would be a 5th generation farmer. Basically, we've got 2 options at the moment. We either fight this and win, and then he's got a chance of taking over, or we're young enough, we might have to look into emigrating. It's as simple as that. And unfortunately, the vast number of young farmers are going to be looking at the same thing. Eventually, there will be no farming left in this country.
The anger isn't just about inheritance tax. It's about being ignored, forgotten by policymakers who, farmers say, don't understand the land or the lives tied to it. Hugh Loxton farms near Bridgewater. He laid out the math and the betrayal.
I have an 84-year-old mother who is still actively involved in the farm and owns an awful lot of it, and when she dies I stand to inherit some of it, not all of it. I have sisters, but between us we'll be paying just around about £1 million in IHT. We all work hard, we all pay our taxes already. The money that buys the land that you see around you is all tax-paid money. Why should it be taxed a second time?
Do you feel like you're being listened to?
Not at all, not at all. Very clearly, as Keir Starmer in his video addressed about farmers, what must have been about 7 or 8 months back, was very clear we mustn't touch family farms, they're the backbone of the nation, all this sort of nonsense, and clearly he's lied through his teeth and gone back on that, just like he did with the pensions. I have 2 daughters. They're not interested in farming, so yeah, I mean, they will end up being taxed to death on that farm as well, on that land as well, because ultimately they choose, if they choose not to farm it, or their partners choose not to farm it, it'll be taxed to the hilt again. So that's fine. They're selling the land, therefore they can afford to pay the tax. We haven't got money to pay the tax unless we sell land, and then it's taxed again. So actually, not only is a 20% IHT a 20% IHT tax, because you've got to sell land to pay it, you then end up with capital gains tax on that land as well. So actually it's dual taxation, and because the land was already bought with taxpayer money, it's triple taxation.
This isn't just a moment, it's a movement. Former MP Neil Parish, once chair of the DEFRA Select Committee, joined the protest and didn't mince his words.
I think that the Chancellor, irrespective of whether she wants to get tax from inheritance, it takes her a very long time to get that money, and all she's done is stalled the growth in farming and across the economy. So she actually ought to think about not applying this tax and getting farming in the economy growing again, and I think she's got it absolutely wrong. But will she change? I very much doubt. So I think we've still got a big fight on our hands.
Now, you speak to a lot of farmers in and around the West Country. What is the mood like at the moment with this tax looming large?
They just don't understand why they're being targeted, because they invest all their money back into the farms, they grow very good food, and they want to carry on for generations. They're probably the people to admire, really, the way they do business, and they don't do it for great profits. And so they can't understand why target us, and why is the government so disinterested in having food and food security. I don't think they can understand it at all, and I'm pretty sure these young guys and lasses here in these tractors today here in Weston-super-Mare, they'll keep going come hell or high water to try and get this government to have an ounce of sense, but it seems a very difficult task at the moment.
The tractors rode in under a blue sky, horns blaring, public cheering. But behind the noise lies quiet fear and unwavering resolve. Charlie Walford again perhaps put it best.
Is there the appetite amongst these lads to keep pushing? Yes. Do a lot of people want to get French on these sorts of things and start burning tyres in the middle of the A303 and actually being an inconvenience? I think yes. It's not a threat, it's not an idle threat, because that's not very nice, but you've got to get to a point where the government start listening, and standing around in closed rooms with the wonderful people from the NFU, and for those who are reading this, I use wonderful inverted commas, achieves absolutely nothing. You've got to be an inconvenience. We don't want to be an inconvenience to the public. We want the public to support us. That's why we want inheritance tax to be abolished for everyone, not just farming. But there has to be more positive or physical action, I fear, for the government to listen. And there's 12 months to go before Rachel does or doesn't change her mind.
So from the Somerset levels to Westminster, a storm is brewing. British farmers are raising their voices before the land falls silent.